How y'all doing? We're back again, another week. Real estate Q&A question session like we do every week, every Thursday, 12 o'clock. Basically, I'm here answering every question regarding real estate. If you guys want to get into real estate, if you are into real estate, if you're looking at buying your own house, buying your first house, buying multiple rentals, basically this is a spot where you can come ask me any questions. I know a little bit more than your average Joe. I'm not an expert. I don't want to call myself an expert or a guru, but at the same time, this is a safe space where you guys can answer or ask me any questions you have regarding real estate. If you do plan on getting into the game, or if you have future aspirations to get in the game, this is where you can ask me. Feel free to share with your followers. Let them know that this is a space where we can talk real estate. And if you guys do have any questions or concerns, you can ask me in the comment section, or you can join in on the live, and we can do like the little split screen thing. And you can ask me anything, and I'll do my best to answer it. Again, not a guru, but I do know a little bit more than the average Joe. So I like to open this space up for anybody that does have questions or concerns, or if you want to know about how I've done something, or how I've got into the game or anything like that, or any particular topic, property management, renovations, how to buy, what to buy, different areas, what to look for, all that kind of stuff has popped up on previous live sessions that I've done. Again, I do this pretty much every week, every Thursday. To where, like I said, I want to basically open up a safe space for you guys to ask those questions, because I know how it is when you want to get into real estate, and sometimes you don't have the right guidance or the right people in your corner, or even anybody in your corner at that moment in time, especially if you're newer and trying to find information. There's a lot of information online, but a lot of stuff you're going to learn as you actually get into it. And a lot of the things that you're going to learn are going to come with experience. So in turn, I want to make sure I provide that space for you guys to have somebody. I might be that somebody that helps you along the way. We had a couple people join in. Looks like Aisha VS Swoop, DMS Crown Hold, FF Barnes. Thank you guys for joining. Again, feel free to let folks know that this is something that I'm going to be doing every Thursday at 12 o'clock. I don't like to call it a show because I don't know if it is a show, since it is IG Live, but if you guys want to call it a show, you can call it a show. So yeah, I think this is our 5th week doing this. We've definitely grown when it comes to the amount of people that do show up and come join us. And so definitely, like I said, I want to keep making this consistent and keep making this space available for you guys, and somebody that you guys can bounce ideas off of if that is something that you wanted to do. So this week, a little update with me. We are still in the house that I told you guys I've been renovating for a couple months. And actually, I'm actually going to be moving into this house. I actually did move into this house. I'm not in it yet. Because there's still some things that we are trying to work through before it is actually habitable. So it's been a tough little road. My father was here for like 3 weeks straight. Me and him were literally in here every single day for 3 weeks straight. So we were getting up at like 8 o'clock, and then we were coming over here and working at 8 o'clock all the way till like 11, 12 at night. Just to get things done so we can move in and have a place to lay our head, because I like it. The main thing is I was renting, and at that moment in time I felt like, okay, well, I've accumulated a number of rentals. It's only right that I actually have a house that I actually live in. So what we ended up doing is moving into this house. It was not a house that we bought that was like, hey, this is going to be a forever home, or this is going to be a home where we live. This is still an investment property, by the way, right? So we took a 3-unit single family row home here in Baltimore, and we changed it and converted it to a 2-unit. And so you have basically the first floor and the basement, which is going to be one unit. And then we have the second and third floor, which is the second unit. That's where, we're going to be moving into. And so once we're done moving into this place, we're going to live here for maybe a couple years or so, something like that. And we're going to move out. And while we're here, we're going to renovate the first floor and the basement. And then we're going to transition and rent that out. And then once we move out after a year or so, we're going to rent the other unit out too as well. So what's going on, Brent? How you doing? We got some other folks in. Hey, steady clocking, Jasmine, what's going on? We got a couple people here. Fonte's wife, what's going on? How y'all living? Again, if you guys, it's your first time coming in, this is a safe space for you guys to talk anything real estate. If you have any questions, any concerns, you might have saw something on the internet that you're questioning. If you're thinking about buying a house, where do you start? This is the space.
What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
I'm gonna get the mattress now. I got the trailer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm on a call right now, but when I get off the call, I got you. You gonna take the mattress and
You
stuff?
took the mattress there. I'm gonna dump it out. And you call me. I'll be back later.
I got you.
Okay?
So yes. Oh, it's Devontae too. Hey, guys. How y'all doing, man? I know Devontae's my line brother, and his lovely wife is on the live with us too. They're in Tallahassee. Devontae's heavily trying to get in the game. Wait. Of course. Hey, Jessica. How you doing? We got some other folks on here. Yes. Yes, we are on the live. But I was rushing. My bad, Devon. I was rushing. but anyway, yes, this is a safe space for you guys to talk anything real estate related. I know there's a couple people on here that are actually in the game. I know Brent, he's here in Baltimore. He actually has a house actually around the corner from where I'm at right now, in a nice area that we are currently renovating. And he's here. He's like I said, he's doing his thing. Again, ask me anything, question, comments on this live. It can be about loans, it can be about houses, it can be about rentals, about flips. I'll do my best to answer. Let's see, we got Bless King. Got a question about water. How do you charge tenants when water isn't separately metered? This question comes up sometimes, especially when you're dealing with multi-units. So anytime you have multi-units, sometimes when you buy a house, it's not situated as a multi-unit it's not functional as a multi-unit. You might be able to put tenants in there and have it run like a multi, but the actual bones and structure of the house aren't situated like a multi-unit, meaning the electric and the plumbing. These are two big things, right? Actually, electric, plumbing, and HVAC. Let's go ahead and include all of them, right? When it comes to the electric, sometimes folks will buy a house or a house and plan on renting it out with multi-unit, multiple tenants. And in doing so, they only have 1 meter. What's going on, Reggie? They only have 1 meter. And so when you have 1 meter, guess what? That means that, well, the tenants are going to all be sharing 1 meter. How do you divide that up, right? That question comes up often, right? Same thing with the plumbing. How do you separate the water if everything's on 1 water meter, right? Same with the HVAC. If you only have 1 HVAC system. What's up, Sneaker Fiend? These are people that join the live consistently, have been here, I think, 5 weeks straight now. So I appreciate you guys, the guys that come on and support every week. But yeah, again, back to the HVAC system. Sometimes you have a unit that's 2 units, but they're sharing 1 HVAC system. So how do you separate all that? How do you differentiate all of that, right? And so when you actually buy a house, and the intent is to rent it out separately to different tenants and things like that, but your utilities are on 1. This is the point where you actually separate them, right? Do not let it, you can operate it off of 1, but it makes things a lot more difficult because when it comes to tracking and charging tenants, you don't want to have the tenant upstairs on one on the, you want to have the tenant upstairs on one unit and then the tenant downstairs working on the same unit. And so when the electricity bill comes in, how do you differentiate who does what, who does, this, that, and the third, right? Easy way to do that is to, let's say if you have your rent set at 1,000, and let's say you went through your renovation, but you didn't have, you didn't put the money into separating your utilities. Well, very simple, right? Charge more on the rent, right? So if your rent is $1,000 and you don't want to make it complicated, go ahead and charge maybe $100 more, right? Or $50 more. The easy way to do that is call your electric company and look at a 12-month history of the property that you have bought and look at how much over a 12-month span time each individual month that how much electric was actually put into the house each and every month. You take that number, you divide it up by 12, and that should give you your number for each and every month that you should be adding onto the rent. This is done before tenants move in. So let's say for hypothetical purposes, your rent's $1,000. Well, if you see that the house averages $100 a month in electric, maybe you charge each tenant $50 more on their actual rent, and you say utilities are included, or electric is included, or gas and electric is included. And so they cover that. And you tell them up front, say, hey, out of your rent, the electric and gas is included, right? If you go over, if the electricity goes over $100 or whatever that number is, you guys will be responsible for the difference, and you split it up, right? And that's probably that's the way I've done it, and it kind of makes things a little bit easier. So again, you want to be right when it comes to that estimate, because if you underestimate it, and let's say you think that $50 is going to cover the electricity for a month a month, and let's say it averages $100, well, now you're going to have a consistent problem where they're going over the electricity each and every single month, and now you're having to have that conversation about, oh well, I don't use that much, they use that much, XYZ, blah 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 blah. So make sure you put enough cushion in there, right? And most people like to see when they rent a house that utilities are included. That just means that you've estimated the amount of cost of utilities and you dumped it into the rent. So it's a lot higher than what the normal rent would be, but they don't really know that, right? They just see $1,300, right? They just see $1,200. And for them, if they see utilities included, they like to see that, right? And you just let them know up front. Let them know up front. Have that conversation. Do not have that conversation later, or don't have that conversation when the bill all of a sudden is high. Now you're having to talk about overages. Tell them up front, hey, utilities are included, but if utilities go over X amount, you guys will be responsible for the difference, and you have them split it, right? And that, I feel, is the best course of action to go about that route if you guys do not separate the utilities as you renovate the house. I would advise that if you have the space and you have the capacity and you have the money to split the utilities before tenants move in, please do so. It'll make your life a lot easier, right? That's electric. Sometimes it's very hard to get, not hard, but it's tedious, multiple steps when you have to call your utility company and try to get a second unit installed. In doing so, they're going to want, it's not as easy to get a second unit installed. It's just say, hey, I need another unit or I need another electrical panel put in. They're going to want inspections. They're going to want, blueprints, and then you got to get approved from the city and all that kind of stuff. If you don't feel like going that route, understand what the consequences could be in doing so if you kept it the same. You're just going to have to manage your tenants a lot better when it comes to the electricity and when it comes to overages and things like that. That's why I say if you can avoid that route, avoid it first. But if you can't and you feel like, you're willing to go through it, then go through it. But understand, you might have some gripes when it comes to tenants, when it comes to splitting up the utility bills if there are overages. Plumbing. Plumbing is a big thing, right? Water, right? I had a house that had, I had a duplex that had split utilities when it comes to the water. And I had one person talking about, oh, well, they wash more than I do, so why is the bill this high, that high? I said, look, hey, you guys get, I know that the water and the plumbing lines have been traced and everybody's separate, right? And funny thing, that tenant tried to tell me that the water lines were not ran correctly, and the upstairs tenant's water was on his water and the downstairs tenant's water was on the upstairs. Don't fall for it, right? If you did the renovation and your plumber dissected the lines and split them appropriately, don't fall for that, right? That is just another way for tenants to try to bypass the actual issue and to make it seem like your house is the problem. Split the pipes. Once the pipes are split, that's it, right? Your water is your water. His water is his water. Pay the bill, right? In some states, in some cities, the owner is responsible for the water, right? And if you want to make sure that you are compensated for the water, then you can have a lump sum set amount, just like you average with the electricity. You could do a lump sum averaged amount for the water and ask for that separately outside of the rent. So that's another way to take care of the water. HVAC. I've had this problem before, right? When it comes to, let's say you got 2 units, a duplex, and you have one HVAC system. Again, if you have the capacity and the money to split or put a second HVAC system in, do it up front. I'm telling you, it's going to save you a lot of headaches. Because imagine that you have your HVAC system in the first floor unit, and the second floor unit has, they have HVAC. They don't have HVAC, but the system flows upstairs. Well, your first floor tenant has the thermostat, and they set the thermostat. And so the first floor tenant wants it cold, and the second floor tenant wants it hot. Now you got that battle to fight, right? So if you have the ability to split or put a second unit in, do so. If not, put a lock on the thermostat and change it every season, right? Put a lock on the thermostat so that nobody can touch it or nobody can access changing the temperature if it is set on on the first floor or on the second floor. Put a lock. They have codes. So thermostats have codes that you can implement, and that, if they don't know the code, they can't access that thermostat and change the temperature. That's the last thing you want. You have some people that are anemic. You have some people that like it hot. Some people that like it cold. I know everybody likes their houses at different temperatures. But to eliminate that, you find the average setting, right? You find the average setting for that particular season. Let's say it's the summertime, and let's say a good median temperature is, 73 or 74, I don't know, right? And you set it there, you lock it. When the winter comes or when the fall comes, maybe you adjust it because it's colder, and now you put it at 74, 75, right? Maybe in the winter, depending on your location, maybe you bump it up to 76, but you only change it every season, and you let it sit and you let it stay. If they want to add a heater because maybe the set temperature is not to their liking, add a heater. Right? If they want to add AC, like a window unit or a portable AC unit, hey, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. But this temperature in this house is not changing. Again, conversations to be had up front with tenants so they understand the expectations. You are not to touch the AC unit. That's a fact, right? And even if you try to touch it, you don't know the code. So I would do it that way, and then every season or every quarter, depending on where you are and how the seasons fluctuate, you go and change that temperature to a nice median setting to where everybody can feel comfortable. And if they want to add extra adjustments, they can do that on their own, right? And that's a way to mitigate any problems you might have, right? And you just want to make sure you set it at a comfortable temperature so everybody, so you can't say, oh, it's too hot in here. The guy, it's 90 degrees outside, and the landlord's got it set at 76. You know what I'm saying? I think a good medium temperature is like 72, 73, 74, right? Whatever. But yeah, great question. That does come up a lot. And that's also something to consider when you are actually buying the property. Are you putting enough money into the utilities portion of the rehab to where you can split it? If you can split before tenants get in and while you're renovating, please do so. It saves a lot of time. If you can't, and let's say you don't have the manpower or the right technicians or whatever it is, the money, then don't worry about it. There are ways to get around it. You have to also remember that you are not the only person with multiple tenants or multi units, and not everybody sits here and divides up their utilities. So there are ways to get around it. There are ways to manage tenants in a capacity where you can have one HVAC system. You can have one electric panel. You can have one water line for both tenants in that house. So again, I would mitigate that. Had poor connection. I would mitigate that up front if you can, but if not, go ahead and that's the way I would go about it. So looks like we got some new joiners. Who we got here? Chief Sam 06. What's going on? It's Pratt from FSU. What's going on? Put a lock on the thermostat. You already know what it is. Got Don Souls, Ashton. That's my line brother. What's going on? Supporting. Got Chris on here. St. Norris. What's going on, brother? Keneal. River Moonchild. How you living? Glad you can join. Sneaker Fiends got a question. I'm going to get right to that. But for the new people, if you've never joined here before, we're live every Thursday, 12 o'clock, talking anything, everything real estate. What's going on, Polo? All my line brothers are showing up for some reason. Supporting the kid. Polo is also in the real estate. Keneal's also in the real estate. He's trying to get in the game. Ashton is also in real estate in Atlanta. Polo and Ashton are actually partners in an Airbnb business in Atlanta. So if you guys do decide to go down there, make sure you book with them when it comes to their Airbnbs, because they know what they're doing and they service their customers very well. So again, if it's your first time coming, ask me anything, everything real estate. I will do my best to answer. I'm not a guru. I'm not an expert. I just know a little bit more than the average Joe, and I have some experience. So I like to create this space so anybody that doesn't have somebody to rely on or talk to about some of these things, you can definitely ask me, and I'll do my best to answer it. So feel free to drop a comment in the comment section, or if you want to join the live, you can very much do so. So I like to make this space open and free, and we're going to do this consistently every single week. So let's see. Sneaker Fiends got a question. What's your thoughts on first-time home buyers programs, but instead of living in the home, you use as a rental property? Great question. I actually did this on my first house. My first house was a duplex, and I did use an FHA loan, and I had no intentions of living there. And so actually, when I was in the process of looking, I was looking at first-time home buyers programs, and the thing that I consistently ran across with them is that they're going to offer you incentives to use their program. So they're going to put money toward down payments. They're going to put money toward closing costs. They're going to help you out. That's their point. That's their purpose, right? And so with those programs, the one thing that I found consistently amongst all of them that I didn't really like or didn't really fit what I was trying to do was that if they're offering money or assistance to help you out, they're going to want you to call that house your primary residence. Now, if you're talking about a single family residence, guess what? You can't live there if you plan on renting out with another tenant there, right? Unless you got a multi-unit. If you have a multi-unit, you can live in one of the units, right? And rent out the other. But if you have a single family and you plan on renting this space out and using a first-time home buyers program, well, guess what? Are you going to share the space with a tenant? Like the same kitchen, the same bathroom? I don't think so, right? So first-time homebuyers programs require you to live in the house. Depending on the amount of money they're going to give you, it gets longer and longer, right? So if they're offering, let's say, all of closing and the deposit money, they might say, hey, more incentives. We want you to call this house your primary residence for 5 years, right? NACA, for example. NACA says, hey, 5 years, I believe it's NACA. They say 5 years. We're going to offer you all this great stuff, but we want you to call this your home for 5 years, right? As opposed to like a FHA program, right? FHA says, hey, this has to be your primary residence for 1 year. Difference, right? Some say 3 years. Now, the difference is your strategy, what you plan on doing, right? So if you plan on and never living there, well, guess what? You got to find a way to call this your house, right? Your primary residence. So what I did, I went FHA. I was considering a first-time homebuyers program, but I felt like 3 to 5 years of calling a place my primary residence and actually having to live there. Yeah, finesse. I definitely finesse. I felt like that was a little bit too long because I didn't intend on buying this house to like live in it. So I went with the FHA, right? Because I still wanted some incentives. I still wanted I wanted some help paying for my down payment and all that kind of stuff. I didn't want to throw that option away because the only other option outside of that is conventional. If you're talking about a rental property, and conventional means you're putting down 20%. I ain't have 20%. So guess what? I said FHA. I'm going to call this place my home for 1 year. And guess what? I never spent a night in that house. Now, don't repeat this, right? Don't send this to the government. Whatever you do, don't do it, right? But I definitely called that house my primary residence. When we settled, I said, hey, this is my primary residence. I'm going to be living here. Never spent the night there. And I actually put a bunch of bills that were associated with the house in that address's name. And I left it alone. I never lived there once, right? So also, when it came to taxes that first year, I didn't claim the rental income. I'm just giving it to y'all straight, right? I didn't claim the rental income because if I claimed it as rental income, yeah, I kept my mouth closed. I kept my mouth closed for pretty much a year, right? I didn't claim the rental income. I just said, I was as discreet as possible. I did renovate it and I did rent it out, but I didn't claim it as income. I kept my mouth closed. I put a couple bills in that house's address, and I went to that mailbox and collected my bills as they would come in, and I took it back to where I was actually living. So that was me finessing the system. I wouldn't advise it to you guys. Did anybody from the mortgage company come and check up on me? No. Did anybody, question, hey, do you live in this house? No, right? But that's a FHA, right? That's a national program. No, the bank wasn't coming out and checking up on me. But I have heard that, programs like NACA where somebody came out and checked to see if the person actually lived there. So again, risk tolerance is all dependent on you, whether or not you feel like that's something you're willing to do. Yeah, Ashton, I didn't care. I was like, I'm trying to get in the game. At the same time, take your money. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's what I did. And I never had a problem, right? After that first year, also, case in point, your insurance. When you do buy that house and you do rent it out and you're not actually living there, your insurance policy, remember, you're finessing, right? And again, this is not something that I'm saying that you guys should do. This is just what I did, right? I don't want to get in trouble. But your insurance for that house, for that year, let's say you did do FHA, right, and you are required to live there for 1 year. My insurance, I chose a policy that was a homeowner policy, right? That's important because whenever you buy a rental property, you're usually choosing a policy that reflects you as the landlord and that you have tenants and that you're covered for any tenant, problems, XYZ, blah, blah, blah. Choose a homeowner policy. And then once the term is over where you're supposed to be the owner occupant, you change it over to a rental policy. So that's what I did. That's another thing that can get you hemmed up because if you buy a house and you are using a first-time home buyers program or FHA and you're supposed to call it a primary residence, but you have a rental policy, guess who also is connected and talks to each other? The mortgage company and the insurance company. So if your mortgage company gets a statement from the insurance company stating that you have a rental policy when you're supposed to be the owner occupant, then guess what? You're going to be in trouble. So I wouldn't advise that, but that's how I did it. I know a couple people have done it. At the end of the day, my year did go by, and I changed it to a rental policy. So that's how I would do it. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's all on you. I'm just telling you what I did, right? Yeah, pretty much keep your mouth closed. Don Ashton says, "Don't give a damn." Yeah, pretty much. That's how I finesse. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to finesse if you did take advantage of a home buyers program and they say 5 years and you dip out in 1 year. So you have to try to keep things under wrap for 4 years, and now you got to be scared and all that kind of stuff. That's not worth it, right? It's not worth it. A year, yeah. Outside of that, it's not worth it. So that's just what I did. Section 8 tenants versus finding renters. Ooh, I love this question. Chief Sam, I keep wanting to say Chief Ape. Chief Sam 06 says Section 8 tenants versus finding renters. Basically, you're talking about program tenants and versus market tenants. Both have pros, both have cons, right? I know right now, Chef, sorry, I keep saying Chief. Chef Sam 06. My bad. Section 8 tenants versus market tenants. I'm pretty sure that you guys going on right now with COVID and everything. What's up, Polo? What up, Polo? Hey, Polo's down there in the South, Georgia, doing his thing in real estate too, Airbnb and renting. That's my guy. That's my line brother. He's also big in investments and things like that. So if you guys are trying to get into the stock market, definitely consult with Polo. He's an advisor. He also owns like a building with his investment company. So yeah, rock out with him because he knows his stuff, and he's been very successful when it comes to investing in the stock market and other investments. And he's also very good with his money. So consult with Polo if you haven't. Shameless plug. But anyway, so market tenants versus program tenants. I'm pretty sure that you guys have heard that COVID has affected a lot of people when it comes to rents, and there have been rent deferments and things like that. Asa, what's going on? That was my neighbor back home in Florida. How you living? Glad you could join. Again, if you guys are new to this, you can ask me anything, everything real estate. I am here answering questions every Thursday, 12 o'clock, so feel free to join. Kai the King, how you living, man? Glad for joining. But again, back to the question. There are pros and cons to both, right? And in a scenario like right now where you have rent deferments and tenants don't have to pay in your cities and things like that, that is going to affect the landlords who have market tenants, because market tenants have those abilities where they can pay or they can not pay in a situation like COVID. And there's really no repercussions. There's really nothing that you can stand on as a landlord to tell them they have to pay. Once the city or the government says they don't have to pay, then guess what? They don't have to pay, right? As opposed to Section 8, guess what? That check is coming every month, regardless of what's going on. It's a government subsidized program, so that money is coming every single month, regardless of a natural disaster or anything like that, based on the percentage of their voucher, right? If you have a tenant that has 100% voucher, guess what? You're getting 100% of the rent every single month from that program, Section 8 or any of these other programs, right? You're getting that money every single month, regardless of what's going on, right? If the Section 8 voucher is good for 90% of the rent, then you're getting 90% of the rent guaranteed every single month. As long as you're within compliance of Section 8 rules, you're getting 90% guaranteed, and the tenant is responsible for the other 10, right? So very good, right? Because if you have a problem tenant or you have bad tenants or whatever the case may be, you're getting that rent regardless. That's why Section 8 is, looked at in great regards, right? People love try to get Section 8, right? As opposed to market tenants. You are responsible for making sure that that tenant pays the rent, or your property manager is, right? But after if they don't pay, then you got to go through the eviction process and all that kind of stuff. So for me personally, I have done all my tenants are market tenants. I have not done Section 8. I have not done program tenants yet. And I've had my issues, right? The thing with Section 8 is that Section 8, when it comes to Section 8 houses, your house has to be up to a certain standard, right? So when you buy a house and you renovate it, or you buy a rental and you put a market tenant in there, your city is probably going to require you to have your house up to a certain standard to make it a legal rental. Meaning it's got to be safe, it's got to have the smoke detector, it's got to have the handrails, it's got to have, you can't have huge gaping holes in the wall, you got to have running water, you got to have the water has to get hot and it's got to get cold, the toilet flushes, the sink runs, all that kind of stuff, the basics. That's what your city is going to require you to have to make your property livable. That's for market tenants, right? So once your city does that inspection, you can rent out, right, to market tenants. Easy, right? Section 8 has an additional inspection that is a Section 8 inspection. And when it comes to Section 8, if they're going to be guaranteeing you 100% rent every month, well, guess what? Section 8 wants to make sure your house is like crisp, clean, to the point, right? Meaning, so Section 8, and from experience that I have had with other people I know that do Section 8, their inspections are a lot more strenuous. And also, whereas with a market tenant, if you do plan on getting market tenants, if I buy a house today, and let's say it's turnkey, I can rent it out tomorrow, right? Once I get all my paperwork and all that kind of stuff and my rental license, I can rent it out tomorrow, right? With Section 8, there's a wait period. So you're not renting out immediately. You're buying the house, and then you have to get an inspection. You have to get the Section 8 inspection. Section 8 inspectors are on a rotational basis. And so sometimes it might take them 2 weeks or 3 weeks to get out to you. And guarantee it, keep this in mind. I'm telling you here first, if you've never heard it, it doesn't matter how clean, how renovated, how new your house is, they're probably going to fail you on the very first time they come and see that house, right? It doesn't matter if it's been renovated. That's just what they do, right? This is coming from experience that I have heard from other guys that do Section 8 religiously. They're going to fail you on your first inspection. They're a lot more detailed. So when it comes to like small cracks, gaps, things like that, they want all of that sealed up. They're very, very, very particular when it comes to their inspections. And once they fail you, you have up to 30 days to fix the issues, and then you have to call them back again to try to get another inspection. And then they have to find a tenant. Then they're gonna have to find a tenant for you. So you might start the Section 8 process at the beginning of June, but you might not get a tenant until mid-July, maybe August, once you've gone through all your inspections and stuff. So a great way to keep this in mind, if you're doing market tenants, rent is not guaranteed. It's up to you to enforce it or your property manager to enforce it, right? And then also, the inspections are not as strict. The inspections for market tenants or a market house are not as strenuous as Section 8. Section 8, rent is guaranteed based on the percentage of the voucher, but the inspection period is a lot more strenuous, and it's not a quick and easy, hey, I bought the house today, I'm renting it out tomorrow. There is a wait period. So when you're talking about waiting to put tenants in a house, guess what? You have to think of holding costs. How much am I paying each month for mortgage for this house every single month? And with Section 8, I would anticipate that your house is probably going to be vacant for at least a month, 2 months, maybe 3 months, dealing with Section 8 and whatever the condition of your house is when you call them for an inspection, and what they deem as not fit to rent, and what they deem as fit to rent. So that's all, you guys. Again, there's pros and cons to both, but Section 8 is a great way to go. There's also pros to market tenants as well. And then also with Section 8, every time the tenant turns over, or every time you get new tenants, you got to get a new inspection. So that inspection does not stop. Doesn't stop. So what's going on, guys? Thank you guys for joining. We have some new people. See Asa in here, Kai the King, Ashley's in here, Kid Next Door, Sneaker Fiend, what's going on? Chef Sam still up in here. Appreciate you guys for joining. Remember, every Thursday for an hour, 12 o'clock. I'm talking everything real estate. So feel free to drop questions in the comment section, or if you want to do a split live screen or whatever you guys do, you guys can join in on that, and I'll basically answer questions. Remember, I'm not a guru. I just know a little bit more than your average person. So let's see. We got some more questions. Which books, we got a question from Sneaker Fiend. Which books or YouTube channels do you recommend for REI? So believe it or not, I actually do not read a lot of books. Just keeping it funky. I should. There's some things that I feel like I need to improve on when it comes to learning a little bit more about this stuff. Books will help. But at the same time, experience for me has been like my main teacher, and I've lost a lot of money. I've gone through a lot of scenarios, but experience is probably the best teacher. But I have gone on YouTube videos. I have looked at a lot of YouTube videos. I haven't read too many books, to be completely honest. But my YouTube videos that I do look at YouTube videos, and I just look at random guys. There's a lot of information on YouTube. One guy I did follow, and I still do kind of follow on YouTube and on the podcast app, is Max Maxwell. He is a big wholesaler, probably one of the biggest probably in the country, but he puts out a lot of content. And when it comes to wholesaling, if wholesaling is something you guys want to get into, he has an abundance of information regarding wholesaling and marketing, and how to market to off-market property sellers and things like that. Max Maxwell is a great guy that I would look up on YouTube, and kind of gives a very clear step-by-step way on a bunch of different nuances and things and processes in the game that can help you guys out if you did plan on starting your own real estate company, or getting into wholesaling and things like that. He's very big on that, and he's very clear. He also has a couple products out that you guys can utilize yourself for your own company. So like REI Rail, that's ringless voicemail. He does skip tracing. He does a lot of different things. So he's been in the game for a while and has built up a good amount of success. And so he started creating products that can help people like you and me. And I still use one of his products to this day, REI Rail, for my ringless voicemails. So that's what I would recommend. Books, I did read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read that a couple times, but other than that, I haven't read anything else. Again, that's an area I need to improve on and buy some more of. I'm only here to keep it real with y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna, I'm not Ty Lopez with a bunch of with a bunch of books in the background talking about read a bunch of these books. I'm gonna keep it funky with y'all. I don't read a lot. So yeah. Do you believe to live in the same state as your properties? That's Chef Sam's 06 asked me that. I did, right? And your first property should probably be somewhere that's accessible for you for a multitude of reasons, right? I believe, this is me personally, I believe that if you're buying a rental property, this is where you're gonna get like the no amount of books or advice is going to compare to the experience you're going to get when you actually buy your first rental and try to manage it and try to do XYZ with it. You want to make sure that property is in your state, located close to you, 30 minutes away, because you're going to be there all the time. You're going to be managing the tenants. That's how you're going to learn a lot of the different nuances that come with managing, rehabbing, all the jazzy stuff, right? I would recommend that you buy closer to you, right? Especially if you're just starting out. Now, if you've kind of gotten some experience and you've been in the game a little bit, then I would say, hey, buy somewhere else or manage it. But if you're just starting, buy somewhere that's close to you. And if you do buy somewhere else, please, this is going to be a make or break for you, right? Your team has to be right. Your team has to be solid. That is going to dictate whether or not you have a successful rental while you live out of state or not. And when I say team, I mean your property manager. I mean your maintenance people, right? Who are the people that are going to take care of your property while you're living in a different city or a different state, right? If you have a crappy property manager, if you have crappy maintenance guys that are not reliable or not responsive, they are going to be the downfall of your rental, right? You're not there. You know what I'm saying? If you're there, you're able to finesse and make a little bit more moves and make things happen when things pop up. But if you're not there, then it's a little bit difficult, right? So that's why I say, if you're going to buy close to you. That's where you're going to get the most experience. That's where you're going to get the best experience. Once you've kind of gotten your feet up under you, then you start transitioning to buying out of state and things like that. That's just my advice, right? You can do what you want to do. Great question, though, Chef Sam. Let's see what we got. Cash auctions versus taking out a loan and having a mortgage. Woo! My man's is coming with the questions today. I love it. Yes. What's up, Sophie? What's up, Brandon? Sneaker Face still out here, man, with the questions. I love it. Yes, again, if you guys are new, we're doing this every Thursday 12 o'clock for an hour. We're asking anything, everything real estate. I am willing to go longer on the live if the questions continuously come in. So today is a great day. You guys have had questions and I've been talking for a while, so if you guys want, I can keep going and extend this thing past an hour. Obviously, you guys know IG rules only gives you 59 minutes, so just keep that in mind. But let's get back to the questions though. So cash auction versus taking out a loan and having a mortgage. Good question. If you personal advice, right? I wouldn't advise buying cash. I wouldn't advise buying cash unless you have like $500,000 in the bank, right? Because the thing with cash is when it comes to real estate, you want to use everybody else's cash, right? You want to use other people's cash. What's up, Devin? All the way out there in Texas, man. I hope you're staying safe with a face mask on. I love you. Stay safe out there, brother, because Texas is kind of wild right now with the corona. Same with you, Ashley. I don't know if you're still on here out there in Houston, but anyway, I wouldn't advise buying cash unless you have an abundance of it, straight up, right? Because when you buy cash, that cash is gone, right? So if you buy, let's say you got $100,000 and you buy two properties at $50,000 a piece, guess what? That $100,000 is gone. You have two properties, but that $100,000 is gone. How are you going to buy another property? Unless you refinance out of those deals. I mean, you refinance those houses, and now guess what? You have a mortgage now. How are you going to buy, right? That $100,000 is gone. It's in the deal. It's gone, right? The name of the game with real estate and your finances is leverage your money. How are you going to leverage your money the best you can while utilizing other people's money to buy more properties, right? So if you have $100,000, if you go and let's say use a loan, or if you go hard money, you might spend, you might come out 20, 15, 10, 10, 15, 20K, right? With a loan, right? If you use hard money, with that $100,000, you might be able to buy 4 or 5 properties with that $100,000, right? So the idea is to leverage, right? If you don't have the money, if you don't have a large amount of money, do not sink all your money into one deal. Because once that money is gone, it's gone. And the name of the game is to leverage your cash and buy more, right? So you can buy at auctions, right? You can buy at auctions, right? Let's say you buy a cheap property for $10,000. You put $10,000 in, right? You bought the house. How are you going to renovate it? What money are you going to use to renovate it? You're going to have to use your own money, right? And once that money is gone, guess what? It's gone, right? So if you're talking about renovating, you want to use somebody else's money. You know what I'm saying? You want to utilize like a FHA 203K loan type of deal, right? Where the bank is giving you money to help you buy a house, and then they're also giving you money to renovate the house. That's using somebody else's money. So you keep your bread in your pocket. That's what you want. You want to keep your money in your pocket, right? You want to leverage your money, right? And if you're talking about using a loan, that's the whole purpose of it, right? you're gonna go in debt, right? This is the name of the game. I know there's some folks out there that don't want to go into debt more than what they are, but this is what I call, me personally, good debt, right? There's nothing wrong with buying a house and utilizing a mortgage or utilizing pulling the equity out the house to renovate the house, right? And now you have an additional loan. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Because it goes toward a good purpose. Credit cards and all that kind of stuff, you kind of want to stay away from it if you can. But again, you want to leverage the money you have, right? Because when you buy a rental, another thing that they don't tell you is that rentals are slowly bleed your cash, right? You have to have reserves on hand when it comes to rentals, right? And if you threw all your money into the house to buy it cash and you don't have any money left over or a little bit of money left over, one, you gotta do the repairs and renovations to the house, and then two, it's the upkeep of the house, the property. I mean the property taxes, the holding costs, the maintenance costs. If you don't have any money, how are you going to spend that money? I mean, how are you going to do those repairs? How are you going to pay the property tax? How are you going to keep your house up? Like, how are you going to cover the holding costs? If you're renting if you plan on renting your house and you have to go 2, 3, 4, 5 months with no tenants in there and you don't have any money because you bought the house cash, you're not going to be able to afford the mortgage. So the name of the game with rentals is you want to have money to buy the property, but you also want to have money to sustain the property. And if you don't have enough money to buy the house cash and have those reserves available to you, then I wouldn't buy it like that. I would utilize a loan or something like that. Utilize somebody else's money and keep your money safely with you so you can buy another deal, so you can cover the renovation costs, so you can cover the holding costs. Because just because you buy a house today or renovate it tomorrow and try to rent it out the very next day doesn't mean you're going to get a tenant. I've had holding costs. I've waited 3 or 4 months. I think the longest I've ever waited was 5 months to get a tenant in one of my spots. Who's covering the mortgage? You get what I'm saying? So you want to have cash available, and the only way to do that is to preserve as much as you can and buy utilizing somebody else's money. Leverage your money versus spending it and sinking it all into a deal. Because once you sink that money into the deal, the only way to get it out is to refinance it, and you're back at square one. You now have a mortgage. So that's with that. Let's see. We got some more questions. Experience, Sneaker Fiend, what's going on? I agree, experience is the best teacher. Yes, it is. Thoughts on manufactured homes. I'll get to that. We got Sophie here. We got Devin here. Don't call me Joe, just Joy. What's going on, man? How you living? Thank you for joining. If you are new, this is a space where I talk real estate every week, Thursdays, 12 o'clock for an hour. You can ask me anything, everything real estate related. I'll do my best to answer your questions. I'm not a guru. I just know a little bit more than the average Joe. And I want you guys to share this with other folks. Share it with your friends. Let them know I am here and that they can join, right? Devontae, what's going on? You just joined. Let's go back to Sneak Fiend's questions. Thoughts on manufactured homes. I have zero experience with manufactured homes. Zero. I know a developer in DC that is going into shipping container homes, but other than that, manufactured homes I have zero experience in. I have seen a video on YouTube where you can buy a house for, I think it was like $18,000, and you can literally put it together. It's got like 4 walls. You put the walls up. It's got a roof. You put the roof on there, and then the whole house is pretty much assembled, and it's like a 2-story home, and it was actually pretty freaking cool. You just have to find a plot of land to put it on. But I have seen the manufactured homes. That's a pretty cool instance, right? That's a pretty cool instance. But at the same time, I don't have any experience with manufactured homes. Tell me why you want to get into manufactured homes, or why that question came about. That'll be a great question to ask, Sneaker Fiend. Let's see. Don't call me Joe. What's good? Hey, man. I'm out here just living, bro. Just trying to stay afloat, trying to stay safe, not catch this COVID. You know what I'm saying? Keneal, retainer homes are dope if done right. Yes, they are. There are not a lot of people Container. I'm not going to say that, but container homes are starting to pick up when it comes to like notoriety and popularity. Sustainable, right? What are we going to do with these shipping containers? Might as well make a good use out of them. I do have like I said, I do have a developer friend in DC, and she is championing container homes in the East Coast on this area. So name's Gabrielle. Look her up. Get Gabrielle Goodwin. She's pretty dope, and I know she's been in the business for a while, and she's actually very familiar with container homes. So hopefully she brings her first project to life with those container homes, so we can get more questions and answers out of her when it comes to that. But container homes are very dope, especially if they are done right. You're exactly right, Camille. Don't call me Joe. I'm in Detroit looking to buy some properties. Homes need major rehab, but cost 30K to renovate. Is that the price, or is that the renovation cost? Is it wise to pull from retirement to invest? Meaning 401s, things like that. Yes, it is. It very much is, man. This is something that a lot of people do, because not a lot of people have 20, 30K, 50K laying in their savings account. They have to dip into their 401K. Yeah, man, if the houses cost that much, and I know Detroit is a hot market, man, especially now. I like to say Baltimore, Cleveland, Detroit are like the last like Wild West cities in the country. There's a couple more in the Midwest and things like that, but those cities have a lot of they have a lot of inventory. So if you can get in while you can, I would do so, right? And if it takes to utilizing your 401k, man, do it, man. How old are you? Right? I don't know how old you are. I think we were peers in school, man, but I would imagine you're around 30. Man, go ahead and do it, man. The reason I say that is because you have the cash available. What is it doing right now? It's not doing anything. It's just sitting there, it's accruing interest, and it's gaining, it's growing. But real estate's a great way to grow that money even faster, right? And so if we're talking 10, 30K, I would do it, man. Just simply because the timing in your life right now, I don't know if you have kids or family, and if you don't, what are you risking? You know what I'm saying? What are you risking? And so if that's what it costs to get into the game, and I know a lot of people that do utilize their 401ks, then do it. I would recommend it, right? Because that one property could be what sets you up for the long term, right? That could be what sets you up for the long term. It could be a chain reaction to get you to buy another property. Let's say you buy that house, and let's say you buy it right, and let's say you renovate it right? And the value just skyrockets after that. Let's say you pull the equity out of that house and you refinance, and you use that money and you go buy another deal. Now you're not utilizing your 401k no more. You're leveraging your assets. That's the name of the game, right? You want to get into your first deal. And a lot of people utilize their 401ks for their first deal. So if that's what it takes to get into the first deal, and then you leverage after that, go for it, man. Detroit is I know Carrington, he's out there. I've been trying to get him to buy a house, man. I'm definitely interested in anybody that's out there in Detroit, and I want to know how you guys doing out there, because it reminds me of Baltimore. Baltimore's a place with an abundance of properties, an abundance of places to buy, and I'm definitely interested to see how you guys are doing. We got another question from Devin. How much do you try to recycle or salvage materials when renovating? Do you consider other sustainable practices like solar panels when renovating a property? I am definitely going to answer this because this is a great question. I am at an hour, so I have a minute and 30 seconds left. What I am going to do, since since you guys are consistently asking me questions, I'm going to get off of this live, and I'm going to open up another live because my hour is coming short. Devin, I do want to answer that question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log off, and then I'm going to open up another session, and we're going to keep the questions rolling since you guys are being active today and have multiple questions. So make sure, check in about, I guess it's going to take me like 30 seconds. I'm going to open another live. So, again, thank you guys for coming. I'm going to open another live. We're going to keep this thing going for, however long you guys want to answer questions. I said I would do that. So, T. Crosby, I know you just joined, but I'm about to open up another live, so join again in the next 30 seconds to a minute. I am going to answer Devin's question. So, y'all make sure to tune back in. I will be opening another live in like 30 seconds.